Hello everyone. For today you are going to need a couple of blocks if you have, and a few blankets, sheets, whatever you have, comforters, and then a belt or some equivalent to a belt. Alright, so we're going to start in Adho Mukha Virasana. So the big toes are together and the knees are a little bit apart. And you can take hold of the sides of your mat like I'm doing here and give a little push forward to open up. You'll feel the armpits open up a little bit more and you can get more length that way. And just take a few breaths here, moving the buttocks toward the heels as best you can, and lengthening your chest forward. Relax your eyes, relax your jaw and your tongue. And just become more and more aware of each and every breath. And then on your next inhalation, lift your head. And you'll make your way into downward facing dog. And it's a similar action to what you just did. So now you're pushing that mat, you're pushing the floor away with your hands. And for those of you that get a little bit, the hands get a little slippery on the mat, you can do the same thing where you grab the sides of the mat with your fingers tucked underneath and you can give a little push forward. That does help to open the shoulders a little bit more as well. And then back to Adho Mukha Virasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. And then walk forward to Uttanasana. You can have your feet the distance of the mat apart. Press down into your heels and open up the back of your knees, right? So you can imagine reaching down from the back of the knees into the heels and then lifting up from the back of the knees up toward the sitting bones. Release the crown of your head. Relax your neck. Continue to relax the eyes. And focus on slow and steady breathing. And then bring your hands onto your hips. You can inhale, come up. And what you'll do is take your belt and whatever amount of height you want to sit on, you can sit on. I'll just take one blanket here. And we're going to first start in Dandasana, with the feet slightly apart. Spread your toes and lift all the way up through the crown of the head. Okay, so when you're sitting in Dandasana or any other seated posture, really, you want to be on top of your sitting bones. What happens with a lot of us is that the hamstrings get tight and we sort of end up rolling back a little bit. So draw the sacrum in and up, the top of the sacrum in and up. Right? At the same time, draw your front ribs slightly back so that you're not overarching in your back. Okay, and now take your belt and fold it in half, and then take the belt behind your right knee, and you're going to draw the leg out like that. We'll put this leg off to the side. Okay, so a little bit of knee work. Now what I'm doing is I am drawing back and down. I'm leaning over to the side a little bit because I have to. Drawing back and down, so I'm getting more of an external rotation in the thigh. The belt here, I have both pieces in my hand, the top and the bottom, and I'm rolling the leg out. Okay, so it gets a little bit more of an opening in the hip and is pretty helpful for the knee joint as well. Then you're going to go straight out to the side that way. So instead of rolling the thigh back, you're going to follow that same direction of the knee. I'm giving a little bit of a pull in that direction that will help to open up the joint. And of course, breathing. And then we'll go in the other direction. So now you may have to flip the belt over a little bit. This really works nicely with a rope, but many of you don't have the ropes and the hooks on the wall, so I think most of you have more of a flat belt like this. All right, now what you're doing is you're pushing forward, okay? Forward and down. So you're getting this rolling of the shin and the calf flesh in that direction. And then you can help your leg back up, straighten it out, and we'll do the other side. So get this leg out of the way, and then with your hands here, you can, now I'm drawing back and down, so there's an external rotation of the, well, there's an external rotation anyway, just because of the position of the leg, but I'm emphasizing that here. Whoops. Take a few breaths. And don't do nothing with this leg, right? I'm still extending and straightening this leg, the work that we just did on the knee. You may be able to get your knee, the back of the knee open a little bit more here. And then switch directions. So you're going to go out following the direction of where the knee is pointing now. And it may feel a little bit strong in the back of the knee. So just breathe into that. And then we'll go the opposite direction. Again, if you have to flip the belt around a little bit so that the flat piece, so it's not digging into you, you can do that. And now I'm rolling forward and down. So this is rolling the calf now in this direction. The calf flesh is rolling. I guess you could call it an external rotation of your shin. I don't know if that's really anatomically what it actually is. That's what it feels like, right? The calf flesh is rolling forward and down now. And then you can pick that leg up, which is kind of fun. Go back here to Dandasana and just feel the back of the knees. Right? Feel the possible space that you created in the back of the knees. Keep the toes spread. And now you're going to take Baddha Konasana. have two belts there. Right? We could do that, but you got that experience. What you can also do, say you don't have a belt, is you can take your hands, make little spacers with your hands. Now I'm not pressing down, I'm not trying to jam down on the knees here. It's more like I'm pulling out to the sides a little bit. Okay, just to make some space. And then Upavishta Konasana. Keeping the back of the knees open. Now what we're going to do is come back here, and one leg is going to come in to Baddha Konasana. So this is your right leg, it's my left leg. This leg is in Baddha Konasana, so you see how the foot is pointed straight forward, my toes are coming straight out toward you. That's going to stay like that. This leg, on the other hand, on the other leg, is going to come into Siddhasana. You see the difference? If this is not going to happen for you, you can just repeat Baddha Konasana again. This Siddhasana leg is, in a way, a little bit more challenging to get to. It's a deeper external rotation in the leg. Also, the ankle has to cooperate here. And so this ankle flexibility is something else that really comes into play. Okay, sit up tall. And then we'll switch. And use your hands here. You don't have to just, like the last class we did, you don't have to be hands-free with this. This is especially tricky to get. You see how one foot, and you might go into a little cramp like I just did. Your left foot is going to be pointed straight forward. The right foot now points off to the side here. So this is a Siddhasana leg. And this is definitely easier up on a little bit of height. That's why I really took the blanket. And in order to help to keep the sacrum lifting up and in, so that I feel stable and lifted all the way up through my chest. Okay, a few breaths here. And then back to Baddha Konasana with both legs. And then Upavishta Konasana. And now come to Sukhasana, right? Simple crossed legs, which may or may not be so simple, right? So 3 different poses that look very, very similar. Sukhasana, Baddha Konasana, and now we'll come into Siddhasana, using both legs, not just one. So Siddhasana, okay, so you see how the foot points over in that direction. Okay, this is the first version here. That foot points over in that direction, and this is where you may decide, I'm not sure if you can see from where the angle is of the camera, but I am now pitched forward, right? Because the legs don't like to necessarily externally rotate that much. So my torso comes forward because the psoas is tight, usually. That's where a little extra lift comes in. And now you see how I was able to move back a little bit? And it just makes the pose more, it's easier feeling. It's easier for me to lift up and go back into the abdomen here. And you see how my knees are down. Okay, and again, if this doesn't happen for you, you can sit with simple crossed legs or Baddha Konasana. Any of this can be done with your back against the wall as well. Okay, so now I have this one foot, pretty much my heels are lined up. Okay, I'm going to shimmy a little bit here because I'm falling off my blanket. Now, what to do next, if possible, is you take this foot up here and you tuck it in. Okay? So the toes and the ball mounds are now hidden underneath or in between the thigh and the calf. If you wanted an extra challenge, this is pretty much the classic pose here. If you wanted an extra challenge, depending on your ankle flexibility, you could reach underneath, grab this foot, and see if you can get that foot to, you can't see anything on me, but see if you can get that foot to turn up a little bit so you've now tied your legs into a knot. That may or may not happen for you and your ankles. Okay, that's definitely more challenging and a little bit of a variation on the pose. And then you can release again using your hands. Stretch your legs in between. And you can go back to Upavishta, that feels nice in between sides. And then we'll do the other side. So first version is now your left leg is folding in first. Right leg goes in front. Okay, so now the heels are pretty well lined up. The knees are reaching down. And just like when we do tree pose, it's this action here. The right from the crease of your thighs, imagine you're releasing down into the knees so that there's much less gripping up in this area here where most of us tend to grip. Okay, and then what you can do is now the second part. You take this up here, you tuck the toes in. You can reach underneath, grab this foot, see if that ankle can turn up a little bit. And something I forgot, on the other side, there is a mudra with this pose, and it is the tip of the index finger and the thumb together, and then the other 3 fingers on each hand outstretched. And you're sitting up tall. And you can close your eyes. Take a few smooth and relaxed breaths. And then open your eyes. Release your hands. Release your legs. Go back to Upavishta Konasana. And at this point, I'm going to slide down off my blankets. I'm going to press down through the back of your knees and spread your toes. And then bring the legs back together. Okay. So go back here. You have your belt again. Place the belt behind the knee. This time I'm pulling up like this. And pulling up. And that's there just for a spacer. That's going to stay there. It's not going to fall out if you have the knee closed nice and tightly. So this is more of a Marichyasana leg here, straight up and down. And we're not doing the twist or anything. I'm just concerned about what the knee and the hip and the ankle are doing right now. Okay, other leg is straight. Then what you can do is you'll have now the flat piece, hope I'm explaining this okay, like where the flat piece of the belt is, right on the calf, all the way up by the knee there. And now you're just pulling forward a little bit. Just a little bit. Pull forward. You might feel a little more stretch in the ankle when you do that, like that Malasana that we did. I think the last video I made where I had you in Malasana reaching forward like this. This, when I pull forward, and if I have this heel back far enough toward the blanket, it gets the stretch in here. And then you can release to the other side. You put this in there more by the thigh side of the knee at first. So I'm drawing up and back toward me, and I can let that go. Here, straightening this knee back out, opening up the back of the knee. And then now pulling forward a bit. And then release. Okay, now open up one blanket so that you have a little bit of padding. And you're going to decide what you need to sit on for Virasana. Okay, I'm going to show you Virasana in stages, and I'm going to show you from the back so that you can see what my feet are doing. Have your stuff nearby in case you need. If you need more stuff, you can always just pause this and go grab what you need. All right, so the first thing is sitting on the heels in Vajrasana. Okay, so I'm sitting on my heels. Second thing is to turn the heels out. Okay, so this is where that ankle flexibility comes in, and of course the knees being in this much flexion. Okay, then I go a little further and I pull the feet, the heels rather, away from each other, so now there's this little space here. Okay, so the big toes are no longer touching. If any of this gets too much or is even approaching too much, you sit on height. Okay, and then from here, the feet point straight back. Okay, you are welcome to stretch the bottom of your foot if you need to a little bit. Sometimes this can be relieving here, and then go here. Okay, or you can take a blanket or whatever it is that you need. All right, I'm going to turn back around now. And then what you'll do is to stretch one leg at a time. I'm opening up the back of the knees like this. Just go back and forth a little bit, pushing through the heels here. Okay, next, this is probably best if I show you from the side also. Next is I have a blanket folded like that. You might need two. You put your head on the floor. That's really important. Put your head on the floor. And I pull this way, way in. Okay, so now I create a spacer. And you may feel that you get, I have to do that again. You may feel that you get a little kind of a massage in a way in the back of your thighs and in the calf muscles. Let your weight sink down here. Okay, you maintain the lift in the chest, but let the weight from basically the hips down, or the pelvic bones down, be grounded in that direction. Okay, lift up through the chest, roll the shoulders back, keep the collarbones nice and broad, and take a few breaths here. And then you can open your eyes if they were closed, like mine were. And again, come forward, stretch your legs, one at a time. back and forth. Okay, now I'm going to go this way. If you happen to be practicing on a carpet, and there's plenty of padding underneath you, like you don't always need to put down these blankets here. But you know, I'm on a wood floor, so it gets a little intense sometimes. If you have, again, I should have told you what you needed before we started, but if you have a bolster, just grab it. I'm gonna make a bolster here out of these two blankets, so like that. Fold it in half so I get this long rectangular thing here. I think that's the manigot, right? And then another manigot on top. All right. Okay. Here is your option if what I'm about to show you doesn't work. You can be here with legs straight, or you can cross your legs. Okay, that's if what I'm going to show you right now doesn't work. What we're going to do is Ekapada Supta Virasana. So Supta Virasana with one leg instead of both. So you see how I'm leaning over to the side, so there's no weight on this knee joint at all when I fold this leg back. Then I press into both hands and I'm going to shift my buttocks over toward the straight leg side a little bit. And I'm going to see how it goes. You may get here and be like, well, this is it. This is where I'm going to stay. All right, I'm going to see. And I roll down. Your hips are going to be a little askew. Don't worry about that. And this foot is as pointed back in this direction as possible. Really, you don't want it to be completely turned out to the side. If it's a little bit to the side, that's not a problem. So at this point, you're feeling your bent leg thigh. And you're breathing into that. The other leg can be fairly relaxed. I'm not doing much with it. The chest is open. And then using your hands, you push yourself up. You lean over to the side again, take the weight off of that leg, and release it. And then other side, lean way over, fold your leg back. You shift your hips a little bit over toward the straight leg side. And then you come down. You get a little crooked here. And just try to even yourself out on the blankets as much as you can. Breathe into that bent leg thigh. Psoas muscle. And then again, using your hands, you push yourself up, lean to the side, and stretch that leg out. You're welcome to repeat that. Or the other thing. Otherwise, I have now both legs folded into Virasana. And I come back. Okay? pushing on the heels is a good thing to help you to open up your lower back. I'm just pushing straight toward the knees with my hands, and it helps the lower back to open up. What the direction of the buttock here, you don't want a big drop down, right? So I'm not at all trying to get my sitting bones on the floor. Sitting bones should be pointed toward your knees as much as you can. And everybody's a little different here. If possible for you, you take your arms overhead. And then bring your arms down. Use your elbows, use your hands, push yourself up. Once again, stretch your legs and ankles. The ankles go in the opposite direction here too, so really push through your heels. Go back and forth a couple of times. Okay. Now, so back to Dandasana. And what you are going to do is, remember this here? We did the little windshield wipers. Okay, we're going to go back here, not only to loosen up the lower back, the hips, knees, ankles, right? And now what you're going to do is you're going to stay over on this side. And you're going to pull or draw inward with your right foot. So you get your right foot to come toward you. I'm leaning on this hand back here. Now this leg, the objective for this leg is going to be to go back there. Okay, as far as it can, well, within reason, as far as it can go back there. And I want to be on the top, this portion where I'm pointing right now, I want that to be more on the floor than anything else. So watch here. So I swing back. You see? And I draw the heel toward the outer hip. And you can pump if you can reach. Okay? If this is looking like I'm a crazy person and this is never going to happen for you, just keep going back and forth with those windshield wiper legs in order to help open up. This is just a little step deeper, but can you see how I'm on the front of my thigh? I'm not here. When you go here, and now I'm resting on that inner knee, it gets a little funny on the knee. So if you can, you go back and you press the heel. The more I press the heel, the deeper this feels. Okay, and I'm working that heel toward the outer hip. Doesn't exactly want to go there, but that's where I'm working. And then I release. Okay, go back to Dandasana. Lean back. Back and forth a couple times. So all of these poses have varying degrees of doneness, I guess you could say, right? So this would be the first version, right? Very similar looking. Then I go here, right? And that's where some people are going to need to be. Then I'm going to go back with this leg. I take hold and I go back. And I press the heel toward the outer hip. Okay, those of you that know Bekasana, the frog pose, is very similar in what's going on in the shoulder. Not exactly, but similar to Bekasana. And you can lighten up a little bit and then go back in. Right here, it feels pretty intense. You may not want to stay there the whole time, so you breathe and you release. And then come on out. Back to Dandasana. Back to Upavishta Konasana. You can come forward in Upavishta. And then make your way up. Bring the legs together. If you have a block, lie on your back for just a moment here. And let the lower back come to neutral. You're going to take this block just like this on its lowest height, and you're going to place it underneath the sacrum. Okay, and you see, I don't know if you can see, hopefully, it's down here. Sacrum is down here by your butt. Your sacrum is not up on your lumbar spine. It's lower than your lumbar spine. So should feel okay down here. And you just press down a little bit. And then see if Baddha Konasana can happen here just for a brief moment. You should feel the navel sort of sinking down toward the spine. And then you can bring the legs back up and come on up. Rest the buttocks down on the floor. Stretch your legs out and take Shavasana. And just be aware in your Shavasana, depending on the type of asanas you do. These have been short little segments that I'm giving you, 30 minutes, I think 40 minutes tops. This might even be 20 minutes. I'm not timing any of these. I'm just going through these little vignettes, that I find myself doing, whether it's in this yoga room, by myself on my official yoga mat, or just sitting in the living room in the evening with the television on with Paul and the dogs and stuff, and just playing around. But just notice for yourself where the awareness is. We worked pretty much from the hips down today. A little bit of stuff up in the spine, but pretty much from the hips down. And some other days we work the shoulders and the chest. And then other days we do whole body. So whole body awareness. And it's all important to touch on, to sort of zoom in like we did today a little bit on particular areas, and then to zoom out and get a well-rounded practice. And you see what fits your needs. And you take what you need from a specific practice or teacher or book, video, You take what works for you, you leave the rest. And certain things work at different times. Different times in our physical being, different times in our mental, emotional being. And just breathe and relax. And then you can take a deeper inhalation and a more complete exhale. And bend your legs. Pause. And roll onto your side. And then use your hands and push yourself up. I hope you're all doing good. I miss you and hope to see you soon. Thank you.